Panne Flora with bourbon butter cream. What's it going to take to make this fanciful French Creole Blonde Bread Pudding? 16 ounces of whipped Philly cream cheese, 2 loaves of crumbled French bread or other stale bread, 2 cups of sugar, 1 stick of softened butter, ½ quart of heavy cream, 6 large eggs, 2 teaspoons of vanilla, 1 tablespoon of cinnamon, 1 teaspoon of nutmeg, ½ teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, 3 cups of golden raisins, and some fresh raspberries, strawberries, blackberries, and blueberries. And then for the bourbon butter cream, you need 1/2 cup of butter, 1 cup of powdered sugar, 2 cups of heavy cream, ½ cup of bourbon, and ½ cup of chopped pecans. Hi everybody, and welcome again to the Real Women of Philadelphia. I'm Claudia Signaleon, coming to you from Atlanta, Georgia, and today I'm making Panne Flora. Panne Flora is a blonde French souffle type bread pudding, and it's topped with a bourbon praline cream sauce that you're sure to love. It takes quite a few ingredients, but it tastes great. And it's not thick and heavy like a traditional bread pudding. It's whipped up light and fluffy so you don't get so full when you're eating it. So in this bowl I have here already, I have our French bread, I have our sugar, our nutmeg, our cinnamon, our Philadelphia cream cheese, and some softened butter. We're just going to go ahead and mix that around lightly. And then on top of that, I'm going to go ahead and add some of our milk, because we're going to set this aside and we're going to let the bread absorb a little bit of this milk while we're making the actual custard. So we go ahead and we mix that up. Now you can use a mixer for this if you want, but I like to use just a bowl and a spoon because you want to have a coarser texture, to have a better texture, because you don't want the bread to become all minced down in the milk. So I think it's, if you just use a bowl and a spoon, you'll be okay. So we're just going to set that aside. Now in this bowl, I have our eggs. I've already cracked them and put them in the bowl. And on top of them, I'm going to sprinkle them with just a little bit of cream of tartar. Now cream of tartar is, I guess you would call it a spice that's used to make things whip up creamier and fluffier. So I'm just going to go ahead with my whisk and go ahead and just mix our eggs up. We've gone ahead and we've gotten our eggs in, we put the cream of tartar on top of them, whisk them up, and now we're going to add some of our milk. And then we're going to take our whisk again, just going to whisk that together, and this is basically the custard. Now, here I have, in this bowl, I have our vanilla, I have a little dab of our milk, because I'm going to dissolve the vanilla, and also I have our baking powder. So we're just going to whisk that around. And then go ahead and add that right in there on top of the eggs and milk. And it's that baking powder that's going to make this poof up into that light, fluffy, souffle type pudding. So then we're going to go ahead and we're going to add our custard mixture right down over our bread. And we're going to take our spoon and turn that around. And basically, that's the bread pudding. The custard's in, the bread's in, everything's in. And this is what it looks like. It's nice and chunky and creamy. It smells great. Now we've got one more thing to add. We're going to add our raisins. And I like to use California raisins. When I started making this recipe as a spin-off from my mom's bread pudding, because my oldest son Ryan used to call it bug bread. He didn't like the dark raisins. He said they looked like bugs and he wouldn't eat it. So in order for him not to lose out on this oh so fabulous dessert, I changed the raisins to golden raisins so that he would eat it. And he did, and he really liked it. Now it's one of his favorites. Have that going, and here's how your pudding's gonna look. And then over here I have just a mold pan. You can use whichever pan you like, your favorite pan, but this makes it pretty, and it's got this is my favorite pan actually, it's got fleur-de-lis on it, and I really do like that emblem. So then we're going to go ahead and just spoon this in. Now I went ahead and I preset the oven to 350 degrees. So you're going to go ahead and get this all down in your mold pan. And we're just going to spread it around in there like so. See how thick it is? And you want it thick, but it's going to poof up. When it bakes, it's not going to be nearly this thick. So you go ahead and you put it in. And then we're going to go ahead, we're going to pop this in the oven, 350 degrees. We're going to bake it for 35 to 45 minutes, depending on your oven. So start the bake, check it, and then at 35 minutes, if it's ready, take it out. If not, let it go 10 more. Already mixed together our Panne Flora. It's in the oven baking for about the next 35 minutes. So while that's baking, we're going to go ahead and make the fabulous creamy Bourbon praline sauce to go on the top. So in my little saucepan here on top of the stove, I have the heavy cream, I have some powdered sugar, I have some pecans, and I have some bacon. You go ahead and whisk that, and it's going to start to thicken as you whisk it. And then, when everything is all mixed together, you go ahead and you add your bourbon. Just pour it right down in there. And you basically just mix this, keep whisking it. Keep an eye on it so that you don't scorch the milk, so that it doesn't, because it's going to foam up and it may come all out the sides of the floor baking. And when that comes out, we're going to put this sauce on top of it. I'm going to plate it for you. I'll be right back in 2 minutes to show you this beautiful, luscious dessert. Dessert, anyone? But of course, who could resist this? Fabulous light bread pudding souffle. Light and drizzled with the bourbon praline cream sauce that is just out of this world. And then I just garnished it with some fresh berries so you can have some fruit and berries and cream, and man, it's just a fantastic dessert, but not so stuffy because it's light like a souffle. And of course, I've already cut my slice out. Light and fluffy, not too sweet, because the sweetness comes in on the top with the crème that's on top of it. So if you're looking for a dessert that your family's sure to love, it's not so stuffy, try my Panne. Next time, I'm Claudia Signoleon, coming to you from the Bourbon of Philadelphia here in Atlanta, and I wish you happy, happy eating.